there. I'm back. I'm here to start a new reading vlog. So, this reading vlog week, I have a couple of goals. So, haven't been feeling my best the past couple of weeks. I've been dealing with a small sinus infection, and whenever I get those, I don't always feel my best. But I've also been struggling with my morning routine desperately. So, I wake up to go to work every single day I have to wake up at 5. I used to wake up 5:15, and I feel like I waste 40 minutes every single day. So I'm really going to use that 40 minutes in the morning. I'm going to get dressed quickly, read. I'm not make myself, but I'm going to let myself read and just sort of like ease into the day and see if that works better, because I always feel like I feel like I'm so rushing and I don't really accomplish anything in that time. So that's my goal. So I'm going to give myself another challenge. I am going to try to read 100 pages into a live show for the Adventure Reading Challenge, so that's them talking. I put them on mute for a second. I hope that they don't mind. But my goal is to read at least 100 pages a day. I don't think that's a problem, but I just do want to see if I can motivate myself a little bit more. So I have 3 books planned for this week. Now, because I'm doing a boss battle, these books might all change. But the first one I'm going to pick, because my mom chose it for me, a part of that boss battle. If you haven't checked out the Adventures Reading Challenge, definitely look into it. Four Paws in a Box, Margaret from the Word Nerd, Christine, the other Christine that reads, they all run it. A couple other people run it as well. But I've really been loving it. It's a very, very interesting challenge and really, really enjoyable. So I'm kind of at their beck and call this week to read what they're telling me. But if I can choose my TBR this week, these are the books I would like to get done with. A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee is the one my mom picked out. And this is like a dark academia novel with witches, and it has LGBTQ rep. It's a former Owl Crate book. It's also on NetGalley, which I'm really excited about. So this is going to be the first one I'm going to pick up. And let's just admire, I got the Owl Crate edition. Let's just admire this stunning back of the book. You probably can't see it. I'll have to put a little better picture on my Instagram. But this is going to be the book I'm going to start with. So I'm going to put this beautiful bookmark of Alice in Wonderland will be the start of it. Hopefully they're just talking and I'm not missing the actual reading challenge, because I have to read for an hour as another different challenge I'm doing. We have a map. And then I'm going to put my, the flash bookmark at 100 pages in. So let me try to find that. Okay, and I don't like to start at the end of a chapter. I just don't like it. So I'm going to have to read at least 110 pages tomorrow and see if that is doable. The other 2 books I am just going to mention in here super quickly is The Firebird Song by Arlie Florets. This is a middle grade book that I have on my TBR, but it's also on my NetGalley. And The Witch Haven by Sasha Payton Smith. So these are the 3 books that I'm going to start with. I am also going to bring They Will Never Catch Us from Jessica Goodman. That's also going to be on my tentative TBR, just I'm going to stick it in my book sleeve. But yeah, all right, so I'm going to go watch this live show, get some reading done. I will chat with you guys tomorrow when I come home from work. Hopefully I'll have some listening updates for you. I have like 13 books that I need to finish by the end of the year, audiobook-wise, so a bunch of stuff to do. But I'm going to go watch this live show, and I'll check in with you guys if I remember before I go watch Shang-Chi. Bye, friends. Back in. I did just get home from work. I had to do a couple of little organizational things. I worked out, typical stuff. But I am pleased to report that I did wind up reading to page 82 in A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I am loving the setting of this book. For those that don't know, I went to a very small liberal arts college. That is what this book reminds me of, but it's high school. So you basically follow this girl named Felicity, and she has some trauma in her life. She went to this school previously, but the year before, her girlfriend died, and she was sort of, from what I gathered, she was sort of implicated in the murder. So she goes back to school. She's a little bit older, but she goes back to school to sort of finish out her senior year. And there is witchcraft involved in this school. There's a murder mystery from like the 1800s that she has been getting invested in, and there's a new girl on campus that has her ex-girlfriend's room. But just reading it, it reminds me so much of how my college was set up. And like my college was very, very old. For those that don't know, I went to Wells College in upstate New York. And it's just so reminiscent of what my school looked like. So I'm loving that. It's also an LGBTQ main character, which I think is very, very fun. And I'm loving it. So I only read to 82 pages. My goal for today to read in 100 pages is to get up to page 144. So I'm going to try to do that. That's my goal, is to at least read that much. And then I will probably go watch a little bit of Shang-Chi because I haven't watched it yet. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch a little bit of some of my YouTube videos. I didn't get to finish all I wanted yesterday. So I'm going to go read this. And when I get up to page, like, probably not 100, but when I read like a little bit more of this, I'll give you guys a solid check-in. Bye, friends. To do a quick update, I did wind up getting up to page 110, so I have about 30 more pages left, which is definitely doable to finish tonight. My goal is to read 100 pages until the end of the year, a day, at least 100 pages. Specifically on school days, I think I get like a little bit overwhelmed sometimes during school days because I have so much, and I tend to not be a very present thinker. I tend to be a very, very forward thinker, and I start worrying about stuff that's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. So I'm going to not force myself, but just make like a little bit of a mental note. And I do have a section in my bullet journal to like put down the pages I read because I get the little Inkling design player. Sorry for this very, very long tangent, but that's the plan. But yes, about 30 more pages left. I'm on page 10. I have to get up to chapter 12. This book I'm really liking. Like every aspect of this book reminds me of Wells. Every single aspect. And I miss my college so much. I haven't been there in so long. Due to the pandemic, my reunion got pushed as well, so it's been a bit since I've been there. But it is very like it has a nice mix of magic, but also like maybe not magic, so like a potential paranormal element that I'm liking. The relationship between her and Elias is very interesting. Elias is a future novelist, and their relationship is very, very interesting. But there was just like a big cliffhanger at the end of the chapter that I'm just intrigued by. So I'm gonna keep reading, and I will talk to you guys when I finish my 30 pages, and I'll see how I'm feeling. I might like decide to read more tonight. We'll see, but I do want to watch Shang-Chi, so I don't know. But I'll talk to you guys when I'm done with my 30 pages. Bye, friends. I am not going to be able to read the part as far as I thought. I'm just like a little bit tired. I definitely did not get enough sleep last night. I think I was just, I don't know why. Some nights I just don't get enough sleep, and it throws off my whole day. But I did wind up reading last night, like a lot later. I was doing a reading sprint with the Avengers, so I did get up to page 118. So my goal for tomorrow is to be up to 220. And if I can get that far, I'll actually be really, really happy with it. I am really liking this book. This book has a lot of interesting twists and turns. There's a lot of potential paranormal elements that are definitely like intriguing me. And as like a classic like tropey person that like kind of tries to investigate mysteries, I'm like starting to put some pieces together, but I'm probably 100% wrong, but I'm definitely intrigued. I really do like the relationship. I think this also does deal with a lot with grief and anxiety and depression, and there also is a potential paranormal element that I'm definitely intrigued by. I know someone said that it was very, very mystical and witchy for the first half of the book, and then the second half of the book turned into more of a mystery thriller. I am game for both. I think the person I was reading liked the first half more, but I also really do like mystery thrillers in the YA genre, so I'm excited. I will definitely try to update you guys tomorrow when I come home. I do have parent-teacher conferences this week, but that's not till later in the week. So I'm going to go watch a little bit of Shang-Chi. I was watching the early part last night, and I was really, really tired and almost fell asleep during it. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow when I get home. Hopefully I will have made some audiobook progress, but I have 1,000 podcasts to listen to because I was so distracted with being sick and everything. So I will update you guys tomorrow. Bye, friends. just want to do a quick check-in. I did wind up reading my 50 pages, well, my actual 100 pages from this morning of A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I am really liking this book. My antenna is still peaked about one character and one specific situation, but I'm very intrigued. I don't think this book is what I expected it to be. I was expecting a very different story, but again, like some books I've read recently, like Anna Dressed in Blood, Born Wicked, I really am enjoying the twist. I think it does deal with a lot of like grief, anxiety, depression representation. It still is very reminiscent of the college that I went to, how isolated we were, but also how eerie and creepy the building was, especially in the fall and winter. So yeah, my goal is my new goal is to read 50 more pages tonight and get up to page 278. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but that is my goal. So yeah, I'm going to go read a little bit more, keep watching. I'm watching a true crime video, which is like 40 minutes, so that will probably be the one thing I do. I'll probably read until the end of that video, and then I'll probably check in with you guys again. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye, friends. Do another quick check-in. Probably will be my last for the evening. I did wind up reading up to page 290. I am intrigued. I really don't know where this book is going to go. I think I'm leaning more towards not what I was expecting. And again, I've been saying that a lot recently. I've been reading books and kind of went in with one expectation, and it totally was turned on its head. But I'm really intrigued. Like, I don't know how this story is going to wind up. This is definitely a story I would, like, give to someone else to read when I'm done with it. Like, someone that, like, I trust, or just, like, someone I would want to have a conversation with. Because I'm finding it super interesting and super compelling. So, I have to finish this tomorrow and read an additional 23 pages to be at my 100-page mark. Tomorrow is also the first part of parent-teacher conferences. So, I don't know if that's going to happen tomorrow, but that is my goal. And I do only have to work until like 7:30 tomorrow, so I could probably read a little bit more. I also am on a blog tour tomorrow, like this week, so I have to bring my book tomorrow for that as well. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and we'll have a chat. Bye, friends. Just checking back in. I did want to checking in yesterday because I had parent-teacher conferences all day. Well, the evening session, and then today I just had a bunch of stuff to do when I got home. But I am pleased to report that the Avengers Reading Challenge is almost over. It's been really, really fun, but I have to do a bunch of stuff for it by 4 o'clock Saturday. So my first plan is, one of the challenges is you have to team up with someone if you're reading from a female point of view, and you can do like, I have to read 150 pages by tonight, and I read the first 100 pages of The Witch Haven by Sasha Pierce Smith, which I'm really enjoying. I don't know if I talked about that in a previous clip, but after A Lesson in Vengeance, which I did finish reading, again, I'm not sure if I talked about that, I liked it. I'm not sure I loved it. It definitely turned into more of a thriller than I was necessarily expecting. I really liked the witchy stuff at the start, and I did like the thriller. But again, I really sometimes struggle with unlikable characters, and that's sort of what that book was. And I just like the potential witchcraft elements. So I liked it. It was interesting. I like the LGBTQ plus representation, but it definitely wasn't like a new favorite thriller. But I am really liking this one. So this is set in, let me see, I think it's set in 1911 in New York City. I love historical fiction books set in New York City. It's just fun. But you follow this girl named, I think her name's Felicity. Oh no, maybe it's not Felicity. I think the other character was named Felicity. In A Lesson in Vengeance, we follow this character, and she works as a seamstress, and she winds up killing somebody. Her boss, basically. It's like the first 50 pages, and then she winds up getting taken to the sanatorium, but it's really a school for magic. And that is how she wound up getting herself in that situation. So I read about 100 pages. I'm intrigued. Like, it's definitely a very, very historical fiction heavy. I've been reading a lot of historical fiction books recently, in the last year especially. And the expectations of her are very much historical fiction. It's kind of like when I read Born Wicked. Very, very similar to that element, which I am liking. So I'm going to try to read another 50 pages. That's my goal tonight. And I'll check in with you guys. But yeah, so far I'm really liking this one quite a bit. I I know someone said that they weren't the biggest fan of it because they felt they were being queer baited, but I'll give you guys my thoughts as I get to that point. But there's no romance at the book in this moment, so I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. And there's also potential mystery that is connected to her brother that I think is probably going to develop. So I'm excited for that. I really like the setting. I do like the character, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye, friends. Back. It is the weekend. I just got home from work. I have to do a ridiculous amount of reading tomorrow. Like, I have to read pretty much the whole day tomorrow to finish my boss battle. So I'm going to try to get as much errandy stuff done today as I normally do. I normally do Instagram, I do my blog stuff, but because we're heading into Bookmas, I also have to start planning my Bookmas videos that I start filming in early December. You guys get 30 videos in a row pretty much to wrap up and set up my reading year. So yeah, I also have to do some Christmas crafting this weekend. So I have a bunch of stuff planned for this week. So it's also so cold. I just like walked home and like I'm frozen. So I'm gonna try to get as much stuff done as I can tonight. So I can like read. I have to read I think like 3 hours to finish my boss battle with the Avengers reading challenge. And I don't really know what I'm gonna read yet. I have a couple of ideas, but I also know I have not read like any of I don't know. I don't know what I want to read. So it might take me a little while to finish Witchy because it's pretty long, but it's very, very readable. I'm really, really liking it. Sort of reminded me of reading like a Regency romance, but I really, really am liking it. So I'm going to check in with you guys when I'm done. My first goal is to do all my blog posts up until Christmas Day, which is when I normally start Bookmas. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll check in with you guys when I'm done with that. Bye, friends. It is the weekend. I did wind up doing a bit of work yesterday. I prepped all my blog posts until the first week of December, so all that stuff is done. I also started listening to an audiobook which is based on the cinnamon I think it's called Cinnamon. It's called I Will Always Love You by Anne Rule. I'm starting to listen to that audiobook because I just watched the old movie, which was one of my most fascinating when I was a kid. I blame that movie for why I love true crime because I watched it when I was so young. But I am in the final 3 hours of a boss battle because the boss battle ends today for Thanos. About 4 hours left. Technically, I could use one of my rewards if we get down to it and like I'm really struggling because I do have split your reading time in half. So if I get to that point, I can always use that power, but I don't want to just because I do want to read for 4 hours today. My plan is to read until I have to go to yoga, get some lunch, come back, read a bit, finish my 4 hours, and then do some crafting today because I have to get some crafting done. That's my next project for this weekend. But yeah, so I am going to go read. I am on page, let me see what page am I on. I'm on page 218 in the Witch Haven, which means I definitely was able to read 200 pages. I was definitely able to read about 100 pages yesterday, which is good. I really am liking this book. I'm very, very intrigued by it. It's definitely more magical and mystical and magic than I wanted from Lesson in Vengeance, which I'm really excited about. It's also set in the 1920s. It's set in New York City. I really do like the main character, so I'm going to keep reading, and I'll update you guys before I head to yoga or when my 3 hours are done, whichever one comes first. Bye. Quick check-in. I did wind up reading to page 250 in the Witch Haven. I have about, let's see, it's like 8:30, so I have about 3.5 hours left in the Witch Haven. It does really remind me a lot of the Mortal Instruments setup, but very, very witchcraft focused, and I do like that quite a bit. I also do like the characters. There is like an underlying mystery that's sort of being put through the whole book that's connected to her brother. There are several characters connected to it, and I'm really intrigued where the story is going to go. There's just a lot of elements that remind me of other things that I've read or watched in the last couple of years. I really am enjoying it. I like the main character quite a bit as well. And it's just a fun, engaging, very, very fast-paced read. I really do feel like I'm reading a historical fiction romance or a mystery or something because all those elements are sort of tied in. And I'm just really enjoying it. So I'm going to keep reading. My goal is to read for another hour and a half before I have to go to yoga. But I will check in with you guys when I'm ready when I read at least 50 more pages. Bye, friends. Quick update. I did wind up getting up to page 300 in the Witch Haven. by Sasha Hayden Smith. I'm just really, really liking this book. I'm reading it pretty quickly too. And I have been struggling, not really struggling, but I've been not loving or adoring all the books that I've been reading. But this one I'm really, really liking, like quite off the bat. I just like the setting. I like the characters. I like that the mystical and magical elements. I also am really liking the potential romance that's being developed. I think also the sister relationship between all the girls in the house again are really, really interesting. One thing I like that Sasha's doing very, very well, she's sort of exploring different ways to be a woman in the 1920s, especially in regards to witchcraft, and you see a lot of different dynamics of the girls and different lives that they lead, even though you are mostly from Frances's point of view. Also, the mystery of her brother is at the heart of this read. So yeah, I'm gonna go head to yoga, run some errands in town. Hopefully when I come back, I will be mostly done with my 3 hours of reading. My goal for today is to finish this book. But overall, I'm really liking it. This boss battle that I was doing was super fun, super stressful, I will say that, but like overall, super, super fun. So I'm gonna go get ready to leave, and when I come back, I'll check in with you guys again, and I'll give you guys my updates on my audiobook I'm reading, which is now a nonfiction book. I've been struggling with my listening a little bit. I've been like so interested in podcasts and stuff, and I've been like a little bit distracted, but I'm also reading this. So I'll give you guys my thoughts when I come back. Bye, friends. Check in. I did wind up listening to my audiobook, which is I Will Always Love You by Anne Rule, which is based on the Cinnamon Brown case, which is like in the 90s, but I watched a Lifetime original movie back in the day, and I really have always wanted to check out an Anne Rule book. The books on Hoopla are like shorter. They're like abridged copies, I think. So I might eventually just have to like read the physical book because I know that they're a bit longer and I'm missing some information, but very, very interesting. Also, I was told by Clearance 10 that, or the people that run the readathon, that I can also count my ebook listening and my audiobook listening as well. So I have about an hour and 30 minutes left, so I could definitely tackle the rest of it. So I am on page 300. I really haven't. I've read like 8 pages since I've been gone. But I still am really intrigued. It is definitely something pretty dramatic happened in the last like 20 pages, so I'm really curious to see how that winds up. So I'm gonna go read. When I get up to page 350, I'll give you guys a solid update, and we'll see, time check, how many minutes I have left in my readathon, and then we will touch base. Bye, friends. I get up to page 350 in The Witch Haven. I really am liking this book. It's definitely, I can tell why some people feel it's a little bit queerbaity, but you know, I also just view the characters being very, very complex and very, very interesting. So I'm really enjoying it. This book is very, very complicated, and there's a lot of unexpected twists and plot turns. There's also, the plot is a very, very slow moving plot. So sometimes people struggle with that a little bit. It's not as action packed. But it also focuses less on the actual magic in some regards. Like, it's very magic light, I would say. Like, they go to school for magic, but it's really not the focus. The focus of this book is definitely the relationship between all the characters. I really like that New York City is almost like another character. I think it's fun. So I'm going to read another 50 pages on my timer. I have to read for another like hour, I think like an hour and a half if you want to get specific. But yeah, so I'm going to try to read for like another... I'm going to try to read to page 400, and then I'll give you guys another check-in. And this book has page. So I have about like 100 pages left in this book. So I'm going to give you guys an update when I read about 50 more pages, and we'll touch base. Bye, friends. Sorry for a little bit of the weird angle, but it is almost 2:07. I did wind up getting up to page 410 in The Witch Haven. I will say this book did not go the way I was predicting. The romance specifically, I have very few romance tropes I like. I like one specific romance trope, and ultimately this book fell into that romance trope in like a really like roundabout way that I was not expecting, but it was kind of a unique twist on it, I guess, and I wasn't expecting that. One thing that happened in this book reminded me a little bit of Keeper of the Night that I read relatively recently. But yeah, I'm really curious how this story is going to sort of wrap up. I have about 40 pages left, so I'm going to go quickly wrap this up. I also have about 40 14 minutes of reading left on my readathon. So I'm going to go read for at least 14 more minutes and probably tackle the rest of this. And then we'll come in, we'll chat, and we'll see what's going to happen for the rest of the day because I have plans. But definitely have really liked this book. I read this book pretty fast. So yeah, I'm going to go finish it and then we'll chat back and we'll see what my final thoughts are. But so far, definitely was not the book I was expecting to read, the romance-wise, but I really liked it. Here I'm back. So I did wind up finishing The Witch Haven by Sasha Payton Smith. I actually really liked this book. I thought it was a very fun Regency romance with magic twist. I like the time period. It was set in 1911. So I like that. I like the New York City. The romance plot twist really shocked me. I did not see that going that direction. But I really like this one. I would probably give this one like 4 stars for review. I actually read it really quickly. And then the other book that I read in this reading vlog was A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I think I like this one a little bit less. These books were sort of like, could have been very similar, but one was more contemporary and one was more fantastical. So like this one is definitely witchy. If you want a witchy book, I would definitely pick up this one. If you want more of a like an academia, dark academia with a thriller twist, I would definitely pick up this one. But they both do talk about witchcraft. This Witch Haven has much more likable characters than A Lesson in Vengeance. And I loved the characters in Witch Haven. I didn't really love them in Lesson of Vengeance, but that was sort of the point. But I did like both books. Also, I did wind up doing all my challenges. I do not know what these points are mean, but I got, if I did my math correct, I got 895 points, which is actually pretty awesome. So that's actually pretty good. I got 895, so I'm excited for that. So I am gonna go scrapbook for like craft for a little bit, and then I'm not gonna read anything until the next decision is made. So I'm not even gonna choose like my next read or whatever that, but I do want to craft and scrapbook a bit. So I'm gonna go do that. I have finished both these books. I don't know what I'm gonna read next, but I really need to go do some crafting. So I'll talk to you guys when the live show is over. Have about an hour. So I'll talk to you guys after the live show is over and I know what my points be. Bye, friends. And I'll probably see you guys for our next reading vlog. But I did wind up finishing these 2 books and they were pretty hefty. So, and actually nice coordinating books. But talk to you guys soon. Bye, friends.